Danganronpa needs a little introduction. It's known far and wide outside of Japan as one of the original high school murder mystery stories. Some may know this series for its horrible, cringe fanbase. Others just know it for its dark and twisted story. But even if you know the basics of this series, many still do not know how far this media franchise stretches. What if I told you that this series spawned like 20 different games, anime, novels, manga, and even frickin' stage plays over the last 15 years? Yeah, Danganronpa is not just a little indie game series, it's a whole universe. And most people who say they know Danganronpa have only touched around 10% of it. So today, I'm going to explain the entire franchise. Every single game, every anime, every book, the canceled stuff, all the way up to the new Danganronpa game dropping early 2027. So yeah, sit back, relax, and let me be your Danganronpa sensei for the next 15 minutes. Oh yeah, and just a quick little spoiler warning. I'm gonna keep the big twist as vague as I can because these games will emotionally destroy you, and I don't want to be the guy that ruins that for you because it's a crazy roller coaster. But if you've never played any Danganronpa games and don't want any spoilers, I guess watch this after, or you could always use this video as your introduction into the series and the order to consume all this media in. So anyways, let's get into it. So let's start with the basics, because you can't understand this franchise without understanding the background. Danganronpa was created by this guy, Kazutaka Kodaka, and made by a studio called Spike Chunsoft. When I was researching this, I literally thought it said Chudsoft. So here's the setup pretty much every game runs on. There's an elite government high school called Hope's Peak Academy, and every year they scout the single best high schooler in every different field. For example, you got the ultimate swimmer, the ultimate baseball star, the ultimate gambler, the ultimate detective, and then to be nice and fair, they also pick one totally average kid by random lottery and call him the ultimate lucky student. Which, yeah, that's usually the main character, aka the least talented person in the school. And then after getting accepted, the students are ecstatic and they go to school the first day and then pass out and wake up trapped. Enter Monokuma, a sadistic teddy bear who's black on one side and white on the other, and he lays down the one rule. You want to leave, then you gotta kill one of your classmates. But there's a catch. After a murder happens, everyone gets dragged into a class trial where the survivors must debate and figure out who did it. If you catch the killer gets executed, but if you vote wrong, the killer walks free, and everyone else gets executed instead, so yeah, the odds are kind of suck, honestly. The overarching theme you will see repeatedly throughout this game is hope versus despair. This is what makes every entry in the franchise so entertaining and what connects everything. You're just waiting to see, does despair or hope prevail in the end? But I'm sure you get it now because you're smart, so let's go through everything that exists in the entire universe. So first, let's start off with the main games. There's a trilogy of games, the first one being Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. This was released in 2010 in Japan and 2014 for an English audience. This is the one that started it all. You play as Makoto Naegi, the lucky student, trapped in Hope's Peak Academy with 14 other ultimates. This is where you meet Monokuma for the first time, and if you're going to start anywhere, start here. Don't let anyone tell you to play the games in chronological order or any kind of mess like that. Release order is always superior, I'll stand by that. While many do kind of argue that this first game is kind of linear in its gameplay, I feel it is still a very compelling journey start to finish that is more than just an average visual novel. So if you do like this game, you're in luck because the series only gets exponentially better from here. And that moves us on to the second game, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair. This was released in 2012 in Japan and 2014 in America. This game, instead of waking up in a creepy school, they wake up on a beautiful tropical island called Jabberwock Island. There's a new protagonist, Hajime Hinata, a new cast of students, and the big twist for this game is Monokuma tells them they're just here for a fun little field trip, that's it. But yeah, you can probably guess this is not exactly how it goes, and this one is a lot of people's favorite in the whole series, and honestly this game might have the best writing in the entire series. In addition, this game is also getting an updated remake in 2027 with the extra story thrown in there. Oh yeah, and also this game takes place a few years after the events of the first game, which makes the timeline pretty simple for now. It gets a whole lot worse. And that leads us into Danganronpa 3 Killing Harmony, released in 2017. This is a brand new school, a brand new cast as always, and this one is basically a standalone game. So this game you actually do not want to play right after the second game, because game 3 leans the hardest into messing with your head, and the ending has to be one of the most divisive endings in all of gaming. Some people call it genius, and some people just want to throw their controller into Kodaka's head. I'm not going to say which side I am on this debate because I don't want you to be biased when you play the game, but let's just say I definitely felt something crazy playing this game. But yeah, many recommend playing this game after finishing all other media in the series, namely the first 2 games, the Danganronpa Another Episode spinoff, and then watching 3 anime adaptations. So yeah, I know it's a lot, but you're definitely going to get the most enjoyment if you do that first. But yeah, that's the main trilogy, and that's where 90% of people tap out in the series, and moving forward have no idea all this other stuff exists. So let's move on to the spin-off games. There's a lot of these, so buckle up. First, we got Danganronpa Another Episode Ultra Despair Girls. Released in 2014, this is probably the most popular spin-off in the series, and it's not even a visual novel. It's a full third-person shooter. You play as Makoto's little sister, Kamaru, and basically the gameplay is you're running around a city, fighting off an army of monokumas with a megaphone gun. This game takes place between Game 1 and Game 2, and actually fills in a ton of important lore, so it's not just a throwaway game, and makes the series so much more interesting. So yeah, it's definitely the most popular spin-off game by far. The other ones are definitely not as well known, and a lot of them were released only in Japan. So starting off, we have Danganronpa Monokuma Strikes Back from 2012. It's a spin-off minigame collection for smartphones, and this one was only released in Japan and China, so no English release, which is pretty sad. Then we have Ultimate Battle, released in 2015. This is another mobile game that was only released in Japan, and got shut down the same year it started. In this game, you play as characters from the series and enter these little arenas where you battle enemies with 8-ball style mechanics. Then there's Cyber Danganronpa VR, The Class Trial from 2016. This is a VR demo for the PlayStation VR that lets you actually stand inside a class trial and experience everything that's going on, which is actually really freaking cool. And I hope the series does more with this kind of VR in the future. Moving on, we got Kirigiri So. This is a short standalone horror mini visual novel where you are in an abandoned mansion in the woods and make choices that affect the story and the ending. So it has some gameplay aspects that make it similar to Danganronpa, but it's not specifically tied to the series. And then there's 2 more spin-off games worth noting. First is Danganronpa S Ultimate Summer Camp, released in 2021. This is basically just a big board game / RPG set on the same island as the second game. The game has pretty much every character from the entire series, and the gameplay is pretty similar to like Mario Party or Wii Party. And also, when I was getting footage for this game, I came across this 46-hour full gameplay video this guy released. Frickin' Kari Pika, you were frickin' insane. And finally, we have Danganronpa Decadence. This is a Nintendo Switch collection that bundles the 3 main games plus Danganronpa S all into one package. So if you want everything on one console, this is definitely the move. And yeah, this is why Nintendo's the GOAT, they got us covered. So let's move far away from video games now. Up to this point, we've only seen a piece of the giant pie that is the full story of Danganronpa. There's a whole anime side that I briefly mentioned earlier that heavily adds to the story, and the timeline from here gets a little bit confusing, so you gotta lock in. Starting off, we got Danganronpa the animation from 2013. This is just a straight up anime adaptation of the first game. So if you don't feel like playing the first game, which is known to be a little slower, just watch the 12 episode anime. It's what I did when I first got into the series, and it gets you the main plot concisely, and it honestly might be one of my favorite animes ever. But if you played game 1, you're good to skip the animation, and if you're too lazy to play game 1, you can just watch it, you little chud. So the next one you want to watch in the timeline after this is Super Danganronpa 2.5, Nagito Komeda and the Destroyer of Worlds from 2017. This is a short OVA side story that came bundled with the Danganronpa 3 game, and it's set before the Danganronpa 3 anime, if that makes sense. It follows Nagito Komeda, who appears to be an ordinary boy whose bad luck causes good luck for others. and it just adds another little layer on top of the lore. And then after this OVA, you'll be able to watch Danganronpa 3, The End of Hope's Peak High School. Sadly, there's no Danganronpa 2 anime adaptation, so you're gonna have to play that one and then watch this anime. But this is the important one. This is an original anime, not just an adaptation. And it's the grand finale of the whole Hope's Peak storyline. It originally aired as 2 arcs at the same time, which is insanely confusing. You got the future arc set in the present, and then you got the Despair arc, which is a prequel showing how everything got so bad in the first place. The anime then finally wraps up with the concluding Hope arc episode. And yeah, to understand this one, you basically want to play games 1 and 2, as I already mentioned. And also the OVA if you just want that little extra bit of knowledge. And then once you've done all that, you'll definitely be able to enjoy this emotional send-off to the series. But boy, we're not done yet. We got all the novels and manga. Believe it or not, there's a whole library of Danganronpa you can read, and a lot of it never even got officially translated to English, which is dumb because there's a lot of lore in here, and it would just make the series so much more popular here in the West. So let's start out with the novels first. First is Danganronpa 0, a prequel novel that acts as a huge piece of lore because it fills in the backstory of how the Despair virus first started. Then there's the Danganronpa Kirigiri series running from 2013 to 2020. It's a whole 7-book series about the ultimate detective from game 1. Yeah, this random side character, I guess it's not super random, but this random character earned basically a whole mega side story inside of this overarching franchise. It's pretty impressive. Next we got Danganronpa Togami from 2015 to 2017. It's another little spin-off novel series centered around the rich guy from game 1. And this next one is actually a very nice little peaceful novel, Danganronpa 1 and 2 Beautiful Days. This is just a collection of chill little short stories about the cast just living their daily lives, no murder, it's just a slice of life. And now we got Makoto Naegi's Worst Day Ever / The Secret File stuff. This from 2016. It's a short story that gives more insight into the events that led to Makoto Naegi's, the first game's main character, enrollment in Hope's Peak Academy. Moving on up is Ultra Despair Girls Hagakure. This is a bonus novel you unlock inside of Ultra Despair Girls, starring the fortune teller guy with the crazy hair, and is also one of the only bonus novel entries that actually got an English translation. And finally, for the novel section, we got Danganronpa If. This is a short, what if things went differently kind of story that was recently officially translated into the best language in the world, English. And now let's move on to the manga section. First we got Ultra Despair Girls Genocider Mode. This from 2015 to 2017. It's a manga spinoff following the serial killer Genocide Jill from the first game. We also got Danganronpa Gaiden Killer Killer. This is a mystery manga about the Future Foundation, which is a group that forms after despair takes over, and you learn most about them in the third game. And the story is about them hunting down murderers, and it actually ties into the third Danganronpa anime. And aside from this, those are all the original manga. There's also manga adaptations for basically every game in the series, along with these 4-panel gag comics, and there's a lot to read here. But that's basically it for all the book section, all the literature, so let's move on to the most interesting category now, the stage plays. These are called Danganronpa The Stage, which is a series of live-action stage play adaptations that are put on only in Japan. And looking more into these stage plays, the costume designs are all so unique and very faithful to the source material, so come on, bring this to America already. This would go so good, man. There's so many weebs that would love this. And yeah, that's basically it for the stage plays, and moving on to the next section, the graveyard. This is all the cancel and scrap stuff in the entire series. So this is the section I was most excited to talk about because hardly anyone on YouTube ever talks about it. This is all the Danganronpa stuff that was planned, teased, or straight up started and then never came out. Starting off our list is Danganronpa Another End. This is an entire alternate ending to the first game that got cut out and only exists as a leftover script. So it's a whole different version of game 1 floating out there that we never even got to play. Then there's Danganronpa Daifufu. This is a story one of the writers originally pitched about the fanfiction writing chubby kid Hifumi Yamada from game 1. But Kodaka said, nah, that's just too boring of a story. Yeah, dude, sorry about that. Another pitch book idea that never saw the light of day was the Hagakure novel, and this one was supposedly written in universe by the fortune teller's mom, which just sounds boring and probably wouldn't make many sales, so I see why it got scrapped. There's also a good bit of cut anime content. The Danganronpa 3 anime was supposed to have more towards the end. There was also a planned Class 78th OVA and a second Hope arc that got scrapped, which I really hate because the anime adaptations are some of my favorite ways to watch this series. And now this next little list of canceled stuff was only things that were talked about but never put into production at all. And this is basically from where the creators sat up on stage at different events and just floated around ideas they wanted to make. So I guess it's not technically canceled, but they just mentioned it years ago and nothing's come of it. For example, the Rantaro Amani spinoff, where the world traveler kid from Game 3 goes searching for his sisters. One of the most interesting ones was definitely the Danganronpa fighting game, because Kodaka straight up said in interviews he'd love to do a Mortal Kombat style Danganronpa, which actually does sound pretty perfect for the series because the deaths are pretty brutal at times, and I still don't know why it hasn't been done yet. And lastly, this is probably one of the stupidest ones, this little sneaky reference to Ultra Despair Girls 2 hitting inside Danganronpa 3. And to this day, nobody knows if it's just a joke, was it an actual tease, or were the devs just messing with us. So basically there's this one part in the game, there's this trash can full of these posters, and if you click on it, it has like an Ultra Despair Girls 2 poster, and one of the characters says, "Oh my gosh, is Ultra Despair Girls 2 coming soon?" Yeah, that's basically it, but maybe it'll be true someday, who knows. And yeah, that's pretty much all the series explained, but you know, what's next for Danganronpa? While this series has been pretty silent for about 5 years since Danganronpa S, we do have Danganronpa 2x2 coming in early 2027. I mentioned this earlier in the video, and while it is a remake of Danganronpa 2, it's not just a plain old remake. It actually has two modes. So there's the original mode, which is the classic Game 2 story with upgraded visuals and all that. And then there's Slay Him mode, which is a completely different version of the same story with different victims, different killers, and different tricks. So even if you played Game 2 to death and you're a huge fan of that one, you'll get to be surprised all over again. So yeah, it's great to see the series is still alive, even though it's kind of come to an end with the main story. But you know, I doubt people will be against some more anime adaptations. I really need that, bro. It's like some of my favorite things ever in the series. And yeah, that was the entire Danganronpa franchise explained. 3 main games, a whole load of spin-offs, 2 anime plus an OVA, a library of novels and manga, actual stage plays, a graveyard of cancel games, and a brand new one on the way. And honestly, it's wild how big this series got from one idea about a teddy bear and a murder school. So just to wrap everything up, if you want to get into the series, just play Trigger Happy Havoc first. And if you're a day one fan of the series and knew most of the stuff, comment down below your favorite game in the series. I already know it's going to be a freaking all-out war, but there's only one right answer, and I'll let y'all decide that. What is the best game in the series? But yeah, that's everything. If you learned something new today, go ahead and subscribe. It means the world to me. We are so close to 100,000 subscribers. That freaking award is going to be the craziest thing ever to have. I've been making YouTube videos for a long time now, probably about 7 years through different channels, and yeah, you guys have shown me so much support on this one. I thank you all so much. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully we hit 100K by the end of the year, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you guys.